Hello there, Romans here and welcome to my next music review. I review every record as a musician, as I am a singer, songwriter and a bass player for my own group Jakobe, and we have released the first album something like 2 months ago. And if you clicked on this video, I think you're gonna like that music a lot because it's a pretty heavy prog music without guitars. Instead you have drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards, making it pretty much one-of-a-kind record. The record is available everywhere on Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, iTunes, Amazon, but anyone who wants a physical copy, they are made in a digipack format with a very beautiful 20 pages booklet that I think you will find very interesting and very nice. And if you want to check out the first single, we're building our own monument that is on my YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out and leave a comment or like or share it and let me know what you think about a record. And now let's look at the record I'm going to review. It's the self-titled debut album from The Sea Within.
Music review. Music review.
The Sea Within is a new prog supergroup, and guess what? It's probably the first one in 10 years that doesn't have Mike Portnoy on drums. Let's dive right into the record that I've heard 7 times as of now, and it came out yesterday, so the 22nd of June. The album opens up with the track Ashes of Dawn that has an intro that emulates the sounds of the sea, just like the name of the group. This is probably the heaviest track on the album, but it's never too heavy, and it's in a style of neo-prog music. I also love the saxophone solo that gives, for me at least, a very Vandergraaf generator kind of feeling. I also must say that the singing, not just on this track, but on the whole record by the singer from Pain of Salvation is really great. His voice shows a lot of dynamics and a lot of range, and even though I think that he doesn't sing all the leads, he does most of them, and his voice really fits the songs very well. He's a really great singer. The second track, They Know My Name, is like that sort of a combination of a melancholy that is created in the verses. You've got that melancholic piano-based song, and then the chorus is much more brighter, much lighter, much happier in a way. It's sort of a strange balance. I personally would prefer if the song would go either one way or the other way, but otherwise it's a song that has an interesting vibe, and I also like the keyboard solo that has a very 70s flavor. The third track is called The Void, and this is a song that's essentially acoustic guitar driven song that is slightly slow paced. There is a lot of tension, but it seems like the song doesn't really get anywhere. It is building up, but it doesn't really explode. I really like the 70s keyboard solo, which has a very strong Pink Floydish atmosphere. There are moments when this song would really fit the record The Dark Side of the Moon, in my opinion. But it's also a song that after having heard 7 times, I still can't really recall or remember the melody that well. The fourth track is around 7 minutes long, An Eye for an Eye for an Eye, which is another classical neo-prog song. It's a very up-tempo, almost happy sounding song that has a very positive and optimistic vibe. I also found interesting that the singer's voice sometimes is much heavier than the music itself, and this is not just on this track, but also on the first track of the album as well. And there are guitar solos on the whole record that are very Pink Floydish, and there is also a jazz piano solo that is very well placed within the song and very well written, and it's interesting that it takes the song to a completely different place. The fifth track, Goodbye, is another very traditional British 2000s neo-prog song. This is a song sang by a different band member, and at the beginning he kind of resembles Richie Kotzen for me. And this is also a song that combines like two worlds. You've got that classical neo-prog in the verses, and then you've got a chorus that's slightly more poppy, and this is one of the first times on the record where you really get a memorable melody that you can kind of remember after the first couple of listenings. The sixth track is the song called Sea Without, which is a short instrumental. This is probably the most serious and in a way most progressive track on the album, or most progressive sounding track. The seventh track is over 14 minutes long song Broken Chord, and this was probably the biggest surprise for me. This is really a song that I enjoy a lot. It starts in a very like a very cheerful and happy song. It has almost like Beatlesque vibe, and there are a lot of soul elements in the song. And then somewhere in the middle you hear all those heaven-like backing vocals, and if you listen carefully you can hear John Anderson. There's also fretless bass that's just amazing. And then the song kind of reminds me of the songs Relier or Close to the Edge from Yes, but especially the parts like Soon from Relier and I Get Up, I Get Down from Close to the Edge. And then the song transforms into a sort of a R&B part that predicts the final track of the record, and then the ending is kind of an ambient with a very heavenly atmosphere that is also very reminiscent of Yes, as despite all of their technicality and complexity, Yes were still a very positive and optimistic group. And then the song transforms into the final track of the record that is called The Hiding of Truth, which is really a very R&B song. It almost sounds like R. Kelly singing I Believe I Can Fly, in the most positive sense, of course. And it's also like combining word music. It's a beautiful track. I really love the bass solo. I just wish it was a little longer. And this is a song that I think would really fit the unofficial Yes album from 1989 called Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman and Ho, which was a Yes album in everything but a name, and it's also a fantastic record. And this song kind of sounds like it could have been from that period. And these two tracks, these final two tracks, are really a big surprise for me because they take the record to a place where I probably wouldn't have anticipated when listening to the first couple of songs. I've been focusing mainly on these 8 tracks of the record, but the deluxe version also comes with 4 additional bonus tracks, which, if I remember correctly, are also on a separate CD, and it kind of feels like an additional EP from the band. So once you've done listening to the main album, you can turn to the EP, and I think it's a very nice addition because all of these tracks were written by this band. And the first track, The Roaring Silence, is a very good song, slightly more darker and serious, and I think this song could have been easily on the main record. Then Where Are You Going is a ballad that resembles Dream Theater's Disappear track. Then you've got Time, another sort of a weird sounding track. Probably the last track, Denise, is the only track that would probably make sense on a solo record from the Pain of Salvation's singer, but otherwise a nice addition. So to sum up, I think that this was a very enjoyable record, despite the fact that I'm not really a very big fan of neo-prog. So I've listened to the last record from the Flower Kings, I listened to the Spock's Beard. I don't really like these groups. There are quite many progressive artists today that sound like this, and I'm not a big fan of this movement. This is one of the very few things in the genres or in the realms of rock, metal and pop that I kind of do not enjoy. It seems like these bands write music in a fashion of 70s prog rock icons like Yes or Genesis, but they do that with modern tools at their disposal. They do that digitally, and somehow that sound is just completely unattractive for me. Also, the songwriting, for the sake of trying to push the progressive genre, they sacrifice melodies, and usually the songwriting just isn't enough for me. And despite this record being very heavily in that genre, I enjoyed it a lot. I think that especially the final 2 tracks, Broken Chord and The Hiding of Truth, are just amazing and reason for me to want to return to this record. Maybe the only complaint I have is that the first 6 songs don't have that many wow moments, if any, but it's also because of they are slightly more difficult to listen to. This is a record that you need to keep getting back to. And as of now it's 8 points out of 10 for me, but I will keep coming back to this record and I'll see how well it passes the test of time, so maybe in a few weeks the score will go up, who knows. If it happens, I will write it in the comment section below. So if you have listened to the record already, you can leave a comment in the comment section below, whether you agree with me or you don't, whether you like the record or you don't. Also, you can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find the links to both in the description of the video below. And if you enjoyed this review, then leave a like. You can share the video, or you can probably subscribe and check out my own music. And thanks a lot for watching.